Dangerous is this? Joining me now with reaction are Senator Ron Johnson and Congressman Steve King. Welcome both of you to the show.
Hello, Sean. How you doing?
Glad to be
How's
on.
that Russian reset, Senator? How's that Russian button working out so far?
Well, it's been an utter failure. You know, Sean, it'd be nice if Russia and the United States would be friendly rivals, but this relationship, because of weakness, because of the president's policy of leading from behind, where we don't have the respect of Russia, and quite honestly, most countries in the world, this has been an utter failure. And we need to recognize this, and we need to move forward with something far more significant than just not, meeting with President Putin. We actually have to start, for example, let's make sure we don't reduce unilaterally our nuclear arsenal by a third. There are a number of things we need to start showing more strength in this world. We need to start leading as America.
Let me ask you, Congressman King, you remember back in 2009, the U.S. unilaterally, broke our security agreement, if you remember, with the Czech Republic and Poland at the behest of Russia. What has that gotten us?
I remember the headlines on the Warsaw paper that said one word: betrayed. What it did was it turned the Poland and Czechs learned that if they stand up with the United States, we're not necessarily going to stand with them. It said to Putin and the Russians and Medvedev that we aren't strong, that we aren't bold. When you sit down and negotiate with somebody like Putin, who is former KGB, I would add, you want to have a strong hand and you want to be the dominant personality. Those two things are really important. If they neither fear you nor respect you, it's going to be awfully hard to talk them into letting Snowden come back into the United States in our custody. And it's something you build for a long period of time. Putin looks into the eyes of Barack Obama. If he would understand, if there was a strong personality there, a strong leader, and someone that was willing to put out a strategy, Putin would react to that. But instead, he's pushing back on the United States. I see the hand he's playing, and it's hard for us to hold our image in the world if we let him continue.
Senator, isn't it kind of embarrassing to watch Putin stick it in, poke us in the eye this way after the president bent over backwards, sucked up to him the way he has? It's kind of embarrassing, isn't it?
I think so.
Well,
let's
Sean,
face it, President Obama started his administration.
Senator?
Yeah, let's face it, President Obama started his administration on the apology tour, which, again, he's looking for the love of the world when what we need is respect. We need to show strength. We need to show that we are the world's superpower. We are the world's leader. Then Russia would start respecting us. So what we need to start doing now is we need to start encouraging NATO expansion. We need to beef up our missile defense. We have to recognize that Russia is not a friendly rival. They're moving toward a posture of a hostile rival, and we need to recognize that reality. That's the first thing you have to do in developing a strategy. You have to recognize reality, and I'm afraid this administration is really not recognizing that reality.
Professor Cohn, Elliot Cohn, Congressman, actually said, nobody's afraid of this guy. I'd put it a little bit differently. I think the rest of the world sees him as a wimp. Am I wrong?
Well, I wouldn't say you're wrong on that, Sean. I can't identify a foreign policy that's coming out of this president. And I talk to a lot of people that do nothing but watch foreign policy. They can't identify it either. But we need to be strong economically, as Senator Johnson said. We've got to be strong militarily. We've got to be bold. We've got to be confident. And when you go to the negotiating table, you want to have the strong hand and be the dominant personality. Right now, I think we're none of those things. And that's probably why they pulled out of those G20 meetings that could have happened with Putin, because they don't feel confident in going into that. Now, with just a dominant personality and a weaker hand, you'd still walk into that room and you'd come out of there with something.
All right, so let me move on, Senator. Obviously, you guys are on August recess, but when you come back, budget issues are going to be front and center. Big battle now going on. Every conservative that I know, every single one, every Tea Party member I know, including myself, wants the House and Senate to stand up, delay, and defund Obamacare. Because we all know it's a disaster. Now the labor unions are even agreeing with me on this issue, as are many others, and even Max Baucus calls it a train wreck. Is that something that's doable in your mind?
Well, certainly we need to do everything we can to point out to the American people how harmful Obamacare is going to be as it begins being implemented. And America is just now coming to the realization of what a disaster this is going to be. So listen, Sean, there is nobody in the United States Congress who wants to repeal Obamacare more than me. but we also have to find out what can we practically do to defund it, because it's in law. President Obama is going to have to sign a law in order to defund it. We're basically going to have to repeal it. So what I would say is we need to do an all-the-above strategy, do everything we can to prevent Obamacare from taking firm and permanent root. So we got to basically get whatever we can take, and we should take advantage of the fact that President Obama has admitted implementation is going to be a disaster by delaying the employer mandate. 35 House Democrats agreed by voting with House Republicans to delay the employer mandate. We should delay the individual mandate. We should delay the subsidies until we can actually verify the qualifications of those individuals basically asking for the subsidies. There's a number of things we can do, but we've got to keep hammering on what a disaster Obamacare is going to be for our economy.
What do you think, Congressman King? Where is this now in the House?
Well, Sean, I look at the opportunities that we've had along the way to cut that funding off in 2011, to squeeze that down on a CR in the past. I brought that amendment. It passed the House. It was peeled off in the Senate. I think we need to stand together on this. This may be the last tool left in our toolbox. We thought the Supreme Court might save us. We thought the elections might save us. But now we're down to where if we go past this barrier now, there may be no coming back from it. So I think the House needs to draw a bright line and say, we are not going to support a continuing resolution that funds Obamacare, either the discretionary spending or what we call the mandatory spending, that secret surprise $105.5 billion in automatic appropriations. Draw that bright line. Take a look at the president and say, if you decide that you are going to shut off this whole government because you don't get your pet project, we'll fund everything else. It'll be his responsibility, but it's important that we in the House and in the Senate team up together and we keep our message clear so the American people understand whose responsibility it would be if it comes to that.
No pale pastels, bold colored differences. That would be a difference. Republicans taking a stand on an important issue. I'd like to see it. Otherwise, you're going to lose a lot of support, in my opinion. But, guys, thank you both. Appreciate it.
Yep.
And coming up,
thank you, Sean.
It's been almost